Has your business been cursed? This is just one of the many, many questions that you can ask your higher spiritual guidance when working with SRT or MDS. Those are two of the healing modalities that I work with. So this was a question that I was recently led to ask my guidance about through some of the training that I was doing. And so, what I discovered was quite interesting, and my guidance has encouraged me to, of course, do a video about this and to share it with those of you who may be running your own business and perhaps you're experiencing some kind of challenge, or maybe you're experiencing some kinds of blocks, etc. And so, as it turned out, when I checked in with my guidance and I asked this question, I had 5 curses on my business. So somebody had placed these curses on my business. Now, you don't actually need to know who it is in order for you to be able to work with your guidance to have these curses removed. But if you are an SRT practitioner or you work with a pendulum and high spiritual guidance, you can use a numbers chart and you can ask your guidance about whether you have or haven't got curses on the business. And I'll just do a quick demo here now in terms of how you would do that. So let me just bring this up for you and show you. Okay, hold on one second. I forgot to plug my camera in. It's all good. All right, let me try that again. All right. Let's see if it's going to play ball. And it is not working for some reason. That's strange. Okay, let me just try and sort that out. There you go. Thank you very much for that. So what I have in front of me here is one of the SRT numbers chart. I've already prepped to work with my guidance, and so I can ask them that kind of question if I wanted to. And you would just ask the question, how many curses does my business have? So, I'm asking that now, and they're reassuring me that I don't actually currently have any curses. Now, I will say it is helpful to be having the awareness that not everybody is going to have your highest and best good at heart. Not everybody is going to want you to succeed. Not everybody is going to want you to do well. Okay, now in terms of what you do about these curses and how do you get them removed if you discover you have them, in my experience, it was a real doozy. I went through quite a rigmarole to have these. It wasn't simply about just asking my guidance to clear the curses. There was quite a process that I went through in order to actually get them removed. So I'm going to be sharing in the video today what I had to go through in order to have these curses removed. But first of all, I just want to share the definition of what a curse is so that you have more of an understanding of what we're talking about here. And I'm going to be using a definition that's been given by, she's a famous healer who's based in the US, and her name is Cindy Dale, for those of you who are interested. And so Cindy Dale defines curses as tubules of thick, dark filaments bound together. They too can run between a person and any other individual or group. Curses are not empty at the center. The energy is bound in the tubes themselves. Curses hold many diseases in place, as well as sexual and monetary disorders. So that's a little bit of information about what we're talking about when I'm talking about curses here. So in terms of what you're going to do if you discover that you have curses, either on your business or maybe just personal curses, what might that process look like? So for me, as it turns out, this person had put some curses on my business. I'd never actually met this person. It was someone who had expressed an interest in doing some work with me. But I had shared quite a few past lives with this person. And so the moment that she connected with me, all of that past life trauma, all of that programming suddenly got triggered, okay, as did the curses, okay? So the first thing that I did was I asked my guidance to clear the programming that was running between me and this other person. Now, you don't need a pendulum or a set of charts in order to do that. You have access to higher spiritual guidance, and it is just as simple as saying, guidance, can you please clear the programs that are running between me and this other person, and they will generally do it. Where it gets a little bit more complicated are the other kinds of things that may be needed. So, for example, I'm talking about more transformational work, consciousness changing, looking at the belief systems that you have about somebody else, or maybe in life in general. So in my case, I had to clear the programming. I had to use the SRT release statements, which I have to say are very powerful in terms of being able to shift your consciousness about something. So I had a belief system about this person that I formed in that past life. And so that's where working with guidance can be helpful, because you can then get very specific about, well, what actually is this belief system that I have in relation to this person? I also had to do forgiveness work. Okay, so if you don't have a forgiveness practice that you already use, if you are interested, I have a free resource that I'm more than happy to share with those viewers who are interested in doing this work. You simply need to drop me an email, and I'm quite happy to send that resource to you. So my details, my email information will be in the description box below this video. So forgiveness work was needed. And in addition to that, I also had some vows, contracts, and agreements. So that's more in the MDS side of things. So it was quite a process to go through in order to have the curse removed. And in addition, so a curse is really like a kind of attachment. And I'm going to be talking a little bit about what attachments and cords are in just a minute. So in addition to that, once the curses were removed, I had to make sure that etheric surgeons, who are high frequency beings, could then come in and deal with that on the etheric or the energetic level. So that was kind of like the finishing finishing off of the curses. All right. So I just want to switch now to talking about attachments and cording in general, because a curse is a type of attachment. So for those of you who don't know what attachments and cords are, I'm going to just share a little bit about that now before we finish the video. So let me just bring up my my little picture here, and I'm just going to do a screen share on that, if I can get that to work. All right, 1 second. Let me just find it. Where has it gone? There it is. Okay, so what you're looking at here, this is not one of my own pictures or drawings. This is actually a scanned image of a picture that I took from Barbara Ann Brennan's work. And what you're looking at here is a picture of the human body and the in-body chakras. Some of you will probably be familiar with these in-body chakras. So we have the root chakra, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. And of course, these little dotted lines on the outside are the corresponding energetic fields, or if you want to call them boundaries, they're light boundaries. So what can happen is, let me just do it. This is going to be a very basic drawing here. So if this is you going through life, whether it's this life or another life, okay, you're engaging in life, you're living your life, you're going along, and something happens, whether it's this lifetime or another lifetime. And let's say there's a trauma of some kind, there's an accident, or there's an illness, or there's a death. And usually when we are faced with trauma, there is what we really want to try and reestablish a sense of safety. And so what often happens is we will cord out to others. Okay, now we can cord anyway. So this is what I'm talking about. When I talk about cords and attachments, some people describe them as spaghetti noodles. So we can cord anywhere. It can be anywhere in the chakras, anywhere in the field. And this is, as I say, this is our kind of coping mechanism, or a codependent response pattern that we have. And it's really about where we are struggling to process the trauma that we're going through. And so, as I say, it's a response we cord out to other people as a way of trying to establish or reestablish a sense of safety. We can even cord out, it doesn't even have to be cording out to human beings. Some people cord out to certain substances, for example, drugs. Okay, so this is what I'm referring to, as I say, when I'm referring to cords and attachments. They can be anywhere in the chakras. And it's most common. You'll have them with, certainly people in your birth family, soul family members commonly chord out. You'll find them chording into the upper chakras over here. Now, if you're an SRT practitioner, the important thing to remember is if you're asking your higher self to clear cords and attachments, it's probably not going to get done because it's not high self that will work with cording and attachments. It's actually, as I mentioned earlier, high frequency beings referred to as the etheric surgeons that will carry that kind of work out. So high self being the kind of, I always think of them as the coordinators or the party planners. They coordinate the additional work that needs to be carried out by other beings. So they'll work with them, but they wouldn't necessarily do the work themselves. Okay, so it's really important that we engage etheric surgeons in this work. They do some amazing work on the etheric levels. That's not to say that cords and attachments cannot be reestablished. Now, if you've got vows and contracts with somebody and that those vows and contracts have not been addressed, and you haven't changed your consciousness in terms of revoking those vows and contracts, then it's very unlikely that those cords and attachments will be dealt with appropriately. And what you might find happening is those cords and attachments can re-establish at a later point in time. So it's helpful, I feel, to keep in mind that we are divine spiritual beings, that we are always involved in a creative process, whether we are aware of that or we're not aware of that. All right, well, I didn't want this to be too much of a long video or lecture. I'm just sharing some really essential points about curses, attachments, and cording. And I hope that you found this video helpful. If you'd like to stay up to date with my latest offerings and videos, please do hit the subscribe button to stay in the flow of that. Well, I'd like to wish everybody much love and many blessings. And also, just looked at the date, it's halfway through January. Happy New Year to everybody and all the best for 2026.